My dream was to be a CEO. I always wanted it, even when an interviewer slid a sheet across the desk and asked casually, "So, what's your favorite position?" I didn't hesitate. I didn't say junior analyst, didn't say associate, didn't say anything modest. I said CEO. There was a silence, then a polite, uncomfortable laugh. I didn't laugh back. People thought it was arrogance. It wasn't. It was a craze, the kind that gets into your blood so early you can no longer tell where you end and the obsession begins. And I knew exactly where it came from. My mother. She was once a CEO, not a title in a small company's org chart, a real CEO. The kind where people rearrange their schedules to get her attention. I was young when she held that position, but I was old enough to feel the gravity of it. When she walked into a room, the room adjusted. When she spoke, people wrote things down. I watched all of this with wide eyes and thought, I want that. Not the power for power's sake. It was the respect. The sense that you had built something others believed in, that you mattered to a mission larger than yourself. Then she quit. No announcement, no dramatic exit. Just one morning, she wasn't a CEO anymore. I asked her once, then twice. Then a third time, a few years later when I was old enough to ask properly. Each time she changed the subject with the expert ease of someone who had rehearsed the pivot. I eventually stopped pushing. There were things she wasn't ready to carry aloud, and I respected that, though the question never fully left me. My mother had one wish for me, a simple life, a 9-to-5 job, a steady desk, a home by evening. To her, it was safety. To me, it was a slow suffocation. But she was my mother. So after graduation, I put on a collared shirt, walked into an office building, and took the job. I sat at a desk, answered emails, attended meetings. I did everything they wanted. I was good at it even. But inside, every passing hour felt like sand through an hourglass, not moving towards something, just slipping away. Working with the pressure of someone else's ambitions is a nightmare when your own dreams are loud enough to wake you at 3 a.m. I couldn't argue. Not there, not with her. So, I endured, and I saved. I didn't spend on something unnecessary, was a rupee closer to the door. For 8 years, I lived like that. 1 foot in the office, 1 foot out, with my real life waiting at the edge of my savings account. 24 years I had lived with this dream beside me. 8 of those years I spent preparing to finally live it. I quit the job. I had enough money. Not a lot, but enough to begin. I rented a building and opened a restaurant. The kind of place I wanted it to be. Warm, good food, honest service. I hired staff. I poured every waking hour into it. For the first time in years, I slept well. Not because life was easy, but because I was finally doing something that was mine. Then I learned what competition really looked like. The building's owner suddenly wanted me out. The pressure was not subtle. I won't romanticize it. I was outmaneuvered, plain and simple. I had no political capital in that street, no relationships with the right people, no leverage. I had to empty the building. My staff dispersed almost overnight. Competitors who had been watching, waiting, swept in and hired every person I had trained. Every one of them, except one. A chef, he stayed. I don't know why. I didn't ask. Some things you accept like rain, quietly, gratefully, without demanding an explanation. I returned home with nothing, no building, no team, no plan, just exhaustion so deep it had settled into my bones. I sat across from my mother, and she saw it, all of it, in one look. Her eyes filled with tears.
What are you going through?
She asked, Mike, not in the tone of someone who didn't know, but of someone who needed to hear it said aloud. And I told her, all of it. 8 years of saving every penny. Meetings with investors who never saw past their own networks. The restaurant. The building. The staff. The loneliness of watching something you built get stripped away before it had a chance to breathe. I can't even say it was unfair, I told her. And that was the worst part. There had been no rules broken. I had just been outplayed. I have nothing left to start again with. And I'm too exhausted to go back to a desk. I broke into tears. For the first time in years, I let myself. She sat quietly for a moment. Then she said the thing I wasn't expecting. That's exactly why I didn't want you to do it. I braced myself, but she didn't stop there.
I quit being a CEO because the owners wanted me to carry all the pressure. And I was ready for that. I was built for that. But they wouldn't treat me fairly. That was the thing I couldn't carry. Not the work. The injustice.
Silence. Then, slowly, she leaned forward. But you don't have to let it end here. If you want it this badly, let's start from a building nobody can take from you. I looked at her. She smiled, the way she used to smile when she was certain of something. This home, your building. Start from here. And that contract you had with the last landlord, he breached it when he pushed you out. File the claim. I'll help you. Later, when you're standing, you can buy me another home. What do you say? I stared at her. The thought that rose in my chest first wasn't gratitude. It was something quieter and more painful. Why didn't you say yes 8 years ago? I wouldn't have had to carry all of this alone. She must have read it on my face, because she spoke before I could. I'm sorry. I thought the craze would fade. I thought time and age would talk you out of it. If I had known, truly known, how serious you were. She paused. I'm sorry, my son, but let bygones be bygones. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting with experience. That's a different thing entirely. Something settled in me. Not the grief, that was still there, but something else settled on top of it, steadier. I looked at her and said the thing that had been sitting in me for years, half joking, half completely serious. Then be the CEO of my company. Will you? She laughed, the full kind, the kind I hadn't heard in a long time. Of course. And just like that, we started again, not with fanfare, not with investors finally coming around or some dramatic turning point that made the past pain feel worth it. Just the two of us, a house that became an office, a chef who had never left, a breach of contract claim that eventually recovered some of what I had lost, and a plan. The first months were quiet, consistent but quiet. No results worth celebrating yet. The competitors hadn't gone anywhere. In fact, when they saw us start again, the tactics grew louder. Whispers in the right places, the kind of bad-mouthing designed to strangle a reputation before it can breathe. The sort of monopoly building that doesn't look like anything illegal. Just relentless. But this time was different. This time, I had someone beside me who had sat at the other side of that table, who knew what the owners thought, what competitors feared, what moves looked decisive, and which ones were traps. My mother had 30 years of that knowledge living inside her, and now she was using all of it for us. Consistency with passion doesn't make noise on day one, but it makes something inevitable. My craze hadn't dimmed. If anything, it had been refined, burned down to something pure by everything that had failed. I no longer chased the title. I chased the thing the title was always a symbol of. Building something real, being trusted with something that mattered, leading people somewhere worth going. We weren't there yet. Progress was slow, hard-won, and sometimes invisible. But we were moving. And for the first time, I wasn't moving alone. What I wanted to be, I am now becoming. Not in the way I imagined at 20, when I thought becoming a CEO meant someone handing you a title and a corner office. It means something different now. It means waking up and choosing the dream again, even when the ground beneath it isn't solid yet. It means carrying the experience of losing alongside the hunger of building. It means having a mother across the table who finally said yes, late, but with everything she had. My competitors can badmouth me. They can try to own the market. They are welcome to fight for every inch, because so will I. I started this as a dream, I carried it through 24 years. I lost everything once, and I started again from a house with a chef and a mother. The dream is no longer something I'm reaching for. The dream is what I get up for in the morning. That is enough. That is everything.